What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the A and J podcast. We're gonna start off with some baseball news. Right after we stopped recording last week, it came out that the Mets GM, right? The Mets GM was sending unsolicited, inappropriate pictures to a female reporter, harassing her and all that, and he ended up getting canned. Adam very upset by the situation. You want to talk about it?
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure it was Monday or Tuesday night. I was just, watching movies with my family, having a good time. And around 11, 12 o'clock at night, Jeff Passan tweets an article stating that Mets GM Jared Porter had been sending like dick pics to female reporters or a female reporter. And it was a whole big story. And, if you click the link, everybody's seen it at this point. You click the link, you see it. The messages, the 62 straight messages, the dick pic, everything. And when I first seen it, I was like, "Oh my god!" Why does this shit happen to the Mets? Like, what the hell? And when that came out, I was just like, "Yeah, the Mets, they have to fire him." This is, it's disgusting. It's just there's literally nothing you can say or do to defend them, especially when they have evidence like that. So it was just frustrating in the fact that stuff like this goes on to women in sports. Like, it's just so stupid how they have to deal with this shit, and it's garbage. And me and you both agree that it's garbage and doesn't belong. And it's frustrating that this happens, and it's frustrating that the Mets just hired him a couple months ago, and they have to fire him, and now they're continuing the offseason with no GM, and Sandy Alderson has to take over now. And it's frustrating for a lot of reasons. It's frustrating for Mets fans, frustrating for women that, watch sports or cover sports and stuff like that. So it's just, the whole situation was just horrible. The Mets did the right thing. They fired him next couple hours after. Because like I said, the news broke at 12. So I'm pretty sure Sandy and Steve Cohen were sleeping, woke up, heard the news. They said, okay, let's talk about it, first thing in the morning, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. Talked for 20 minutes, fired him. And, now we have to, for the Mets, they have to just move past it and, try to put this behind them and try to be better in the hiring process and make sure that stuff like this doesn't happen under their watch, because it's really not a good look,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you have any takes on it?
I mean, there's absolutely no place for shit like this. Like, even outside of sports, just like in general, like sending like unsolicited pictures like that, because 99% of the time, nobody wants to see it.
Yeah.
And like you said, like it's frustrating. I'd assume it's frustrating to be a woman covering sports, because you're already getting shit from everybody on Twitter and like all these other medias, and they're like, oh, you're this, and that. You can't be covering sports because it's supposed to be like a man's thing. But I mean, there are some women who really know sports and shit, Like, they really know what they're talking about more than the average person does. And I mean, the Mets handled it very well. They fired him immediately. They didn't like drag it out or anything like that. And I mean, hopefully the Mets find somebody that can take over the GM operations. But yeah, that's all I got to say about that. Yeah. It's just a fucked up situation all around.
Just, like, if you just take a step back and just look at it, like, people, like, men in this, in the world, in the United States, they wake up every morning, they go to work, and, they just go to work, every day. Like, nothing, it's just a normal day, right? But for women, some they get up and go to work, and they have to deal with harassment and stuff, and they're unable to do their job and stuff, and it just makes things already more complicated than it already is, And baseball is very heavily man dominated, So you don't really know, like, there's no one you can turn to. Like this lady, the reporter that was being harassed by Jared Porter, she probably had nowhere to go. Like, who do you turn to? Who's friend and who's foe? Because you just don't know, and there's no system to protect her. There's no like anonymous tip line. There's no other women really in power that she can turn to, that she would have contact with. So it's
Yeah.
just the whole situation's horrible, and it just sucks that she couldn't just do the thing she loved and go to work every day and just work, She couldn't do that. So it's just...
Yep, and I bet she got harassed after the fact for speaking up about it too, which is also really shitty.
Yeah, I hope she didn't, because they didn't reveal her name, but, I think there's some people that probably figured it out, but I hope it's not. She's in Korea right now. I hope she doesn't have to do with that, any of that bullshit. Just a shitty situation.
Let's go talk about something a little bit less somber, but still, it's not a terrible situation. You want to talk about George Springer?
Yeah, so we're gonna be talking about the Mets really in the offseason and how it seems like they keep striking out in the free agency right now. So the past week, 2 weeks hasn't been a good week for Mets. Obviously, the Jared Porter we just talked about just embarrassing, and we got to move forward from there. And then on the free agent front, they missed out on some pretty good free agents that a lot of Mets fans and people around baseball speculated that they'd be on and they'd sign. So the first biggest one is George Springer. From the get-go, since free agency first started, everybody was saying how George Springer to the Mets, perfect fit. The stars are aligned. Steve Cohen, the Mets are back, new Mets. And unfortunately, they didn't get it done. Obviously, in between that was the Francisco Lindor trade, which definitely changed the situation a bit, because you traded for a superstar already, so you didn't really need to get another superstar this offseason, right? Because you promised the fans a superstar and you got a superstar. Now it lessens the pressure to go out and get another one because you already got one, right? And then you're probably going to have to be paying him $30+ million a year soon, because you're going to have to extend him, which I still think they have to do. That's no question. So they got Lindor, and Springer became more of a luxury than a necessity, right? So the bid was about 6 years, 125, 5 for 115 for both teams, Toronto and the Mets. And just Tuesday, I think it was, or Wednesday last week, was the Blue Jays said, hey, we'll give you 6 for 150. And the Mets were like, we're not really going to match that. We're kind of, in a pickle in the payrolls in the situation, They only have so much to spend in the first year. So the Toronto Blue Jays went to a price that they knew the Mets couldn't match, right? And he just went there, and I know it's a tough loss to lose Springer because Mets fans wanted him and he was a perfect fit. But personally, I don't think it was that big of a loss, because 6 years for a 31-year-old center fielder, that's probably going to move off center field in a couple of years, because not a lot of 34-year-old center fielders, usually they just move off to the corners, and then his value in that contract is just less because you paid for top dollar for a center fielder, but you're really getting a corner outfielder for most of it. So Mets fans, I know it's hard, but you have to understand that you can't sign everybody. Even I know we have Steve Cohen, and I know he's worth $14 billion, but you can't sign everybody. There's some things you're going to lose out on, and you have to make smart financial decisions. You don't want to get stuck with another Cano contract where he's 36, 37, making 20 to 30 million,
Yeah.
So I think it was perfectly fine not to go that high for him. I know he would have been a good fit for a couple of years, but you have to think about long term, You want to re-sign Michael Conforto, who's 4 years younger than him and arguably just as good talent-wise. Not the same resume, obviously, but just as good talent-wise. I would rather give him a 6-year, 150 contract, because you're going to get it in his prime. You're going to get it 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, right? 33, right? Instead of 31 to 37, where 36 and 37 might be bad years and some injuries in the middle. So you have to think about extending Michael Conforto, who's homegrown. He's a big part of what the Mets are trying to do here. And he's kind of the face of the franchise right now. Until they extend Lindor, he's the face right now, that's my opinion. And you have to, Lindor extension is going to cost a lot. So, you can't sign everybody. It's just not possible. Even the Yankees don't sign everybody, Sounds like they're trading for everybody right now, but that's a different story. So, losing out on George Springer was a tough one. But I think he wasn't the end-all, be-all, There's other center fielders, So, just it sucks, but, it is what it is. There's more things to be done. The offseason is definitely not over. There's still many free agents to be signed.
Yeah. You don't want to get stuck with a shitty contract for that long. Like some Eddie Curry type shit.
Exactly. Robinson can know that he's kind of screwing us right now, even though he's not on the books right for this season because he got suspended. But next year he comes back on the books and he's screwing us again. So you don't really
I forgot about that.
want too many 34, 5-year-old, plus players making $20 million. It just doesn't make sense. It just puts you in a pinch. Like if I had to pick right now, would I rather have George Springer for 6 years or Conforto and Syndergaard for the next 4 years? I'd pick Syndergaard and Conforto. They're younger, they're homegrown, and they're just people you can't let walk. You can't let homegrown talent leave. Good teams don't do that. So that's where I stand on the whole thing. I sucks, but it's not the end of the world. There really isn't. There's still Jackie Bradley on the free agent. He's a great center fielder defensively. You sacrifice a little bit of offense, but that's just how I feel.
There were some other free agents too, right? Besides George Springer.
Yeah, so Springer was the big one. Obviously, he was the head of the. He was like arguably the best free agent on the market, maybe second behind Bauer. But Kike Hernandez goes to the Red Sox, 2 years, 14. I know Mets fans were dying to have him, but the thing is, free agency isn't about who offers the most money all the time, because it was reported that the Mets were in the ballpark for Kike and they're heavily interested. But one thing that they couldn't offer him was a position at second base every day, because he's known as a super utility guy who plays multiple positions, but he kind of wanted to play one position and be a starter, everyday starter at that position, and it was second base for the Red Sox. And the Mets just couldn't offer them. There's no way you can offer that when you have McNeil here, and the way the roster is constructed, you maybe want him in center field some days, third base, second base, some injuries happen, he moves around. And that's just not something they can offer him. And the Red Sox could, because the Red Sox they don't have a good roster. So they had room for something like that. Brad Hand goes to the Nats. That's another position where the Mets, it was reported that they offered more money and more years for him. So more money and more years for Brad Hand. And he chose the Nats. Why he chose the Nationals? Because he wanted to play in Washington, D.C., because he lives in the area. And he wanted to be a closer, and the Mets couldn't offer him the closing job. Or they couldn't guarantee the closing job because we already have Edwin Diaz and Lugo in the pen right now. So it feels like the Mets are losing the free agency, but they're not really losing. This is how free agency goes. Like I said before, you can't sign everybody. And just because you put X amount of dollars or years doesn't mean you're going to get the player. That's just not how it works. Some players only want to play for a handful of teams, or they want to go to a worse team because they get more opportunity there, right? Like if I was Brad Hand, why would I want to sign a multi-year deal to be a middle reliever with the Mets when I can sign a 1-year deal, bet on myself, and close? And if I have a good year, I'm back in the market next year. Hopefully the market's better. Teams are spending more. And then I'm going to get from 1 year $10 million, which is what he signed, to maybe a Liam Hendriks contract, which is like 4 for, like 40, 56 or 5 for 56, whatever it was. So Mets, it's a frustrating offseason right now, this past 2 weeks, but the offseason's not over. Spring training's not tomorrow. Opening day's not tomorrow. There's still a lot of time. You just got to be patient. Trust Sandy. Trust Steve. Trust all these guys.
For sure.
Went on a little rant there.
It's all good. Also, the Yankees signed somebody, right? Or they're working on something?
So, yeah.
Something like
So, Mets had a horrible 2 weeks. Yankees have had an amazing 2 weeks. So, Yankees, obviously, we talked about Kluber last week. We talked about DJ last week. And what I said in the last pod was, those are two good signings. Those are great signings. You got to have DJ back, and Kluber is a boomer bust pitcher right now in his career. High upside, low floor type of guy right now. But they need to do more. Like, I wasn't comfortable with the Yankee roster how it was constructed. I thought they needed more pitching. I thought they needed to get more left-handed in the lineup. And what did they do? They trade for Jamison Tyone, who he was coming off his second Tommy John right now, but he should be good for opening day. So he has the injury history, but when he has played, he's been really good. And not for nothing, though, pitchers, when they leave Pittsburgh Pirates, they tend to do really good. And the Yankees have a person on their roster that's proof of that, Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole was on the Pirates. He was a mediocre pitcher. Leaves, goes to Houston. He's the second best pitcher in baseball. Charlie Morton was an okay pitcher, goes to the Rays. Guy is making $15 million this year at 37 years old. So pitchers have a history. And then how about this? Chris Archer was a Cy Young level type pitcher on the Rays, gets traded to the Pirates, and he sucks. He's horrible years over there. So there's some kind of tendency where pitchers, when they go to Pittsburgh, they suck, and when they leave, they get better. And if I'm the Yankees, I'm hoping that stays true, because this is a pretty solid pitcher when he's pitching the Pirates. And if he gets better, you're looking at a ace or a really, really good number 2 behind Garrett Cole. So that was great. The prospects they gave up: Miguel Yahir, Bronius Contreras, Miguel Escado, Kanye Smith. I mean, they're not much. I mean, nobody was ranked higher than 15 in their prospect in their top 30, and the Yankees don't really have a good farm system, anyways. That it's not like they took really premium talent. This is just 4 guys that they're really young, and you'll see in like 6-7 years from now, but not too much for this type of talent, for Taillon to be a potential number 2 to spot in right behind Garrett Cole. I think this is such a great move for them. And then earlier today, we had some breaking news that Adam Ottavino was traded to the Red Sox. Only the second trade between the Yankees and the Red Sox is this century, right? Since 2000.
Yeah, I mean, the rivalry runs.
Yeah, they don't really make trades. And the last trade they made was 2 bench players for each other. And that was historic, you know? Mm-hmm. So they traded Adam Ottavino, who was a good reliever, making a lot of money, to the Red Sox because they kind of wanted to get that money off the books, spend it somewhere else, maybe on Brett Gardner. He's still a free agent. You know the Yankees are going to take care of him. The guy's been there forever. I can't imagine him playing on any other team but the Yankees. So the $8 mil, $9 mil they save on Ottavino will probably be reinvested in a Gardner type. Maybe they say, screw you, Gardner. For whatever reason, we're just going to betray you, backstab you, and they go for maybe a Jock Peterson. Maybe. But I don't see that. I think they'll go for Gardner. I can't see a vision where he's not on the Yankee roster come opening day.
Yeah.
And like I said, they need to get more left-handed, and Brett Gardner is a lefty too, so that's a plus too. Mm-hmm. So that's it for this past week, 2 weeks for baseball free agency. Pretty good for the Yankees. They made some moves. Got a number 2 behind Garrett Cole. Great. Freed up some money. Gonna reinvest that money somewhere else. And that was that's baseball. And Jared Porter's situation firing for the Mets.
I have just a random question. It might be even too early for you to answer it. I wanted to know which team in baseball you think looks the best on paper so far.
On paper, as of this moment, I would probably put the Padres right now.
Padres?
Just because they're so talented at this position spots. They have Fernando Tatis, Manny Machado, Grisham's a beast, Pham, Nola, Cronenworth. They're really good. And then they go out and trade for 3 ace-type level pitchers, maybe 2.5. They get Yu Darvish, who's second in the Cy Young last year. They get Blake Snell, who's won it before a couple years ago. And then they get Joe Musgrove, who has nasty stuff, who's on Pittsburgh. And I just talked about how Pittsburgh pitchers usually tend to underperform in Pittsburgh. And when they leave, they kind of blow up. So I think they have so much talent on the offense, and they're really going for it all this offseason, that I think on paper, I got to put them over the Dodgers. Just because in baseball, you don't really, when a team wins the World Series, they always end up with the hangover, It's like they make the deep postseason run, and then the hangover in the next season, and they have some free agents like Justin Turner that they have to bring back. Jock Peterson they have to bring back. So until they do, I have to put the Padres number 1. Just because they've added so much to their already stacked roster.
Yeah, and the championship hangover is true for pretty much any sport. It's so hard to actually, 2-peat, 3-peat. The Bulls 3-peats are just kind of crazy to think about because, it's so hard to just keep going at that level and win 3 championships in a row and shit like that. And, the Warriors even 3-peat, when they repeated. It's just so hard to play that level of basketball all the time.
Yeah.
It's just, it's always true in every sport. But we'll see. Come opening day and whatnot, and later on in the season. But that's it. You want to talk about what do you want to talk about? You want to talk about football now?
Now let's talk about the news that just happened. Let's talk about UFC.
Okay, yeah. So we didn't talk about it last week because kind of slipped our mind, I guess. And I mean, I'm not really that much of like a Connor guy. I don't know if you are either. I don't really get hype when I see Connor's like gonna like it's a spectacle,
Yeah, of
right?
course.
But it's like I'm not like super excited to see Connor fight again because I mean, I don't know, this fight I think Connor's kind of not washed because I mean he's still a good fighter, but I mean I don't know what it is because in this fight he had with Poirier he did not look good at all.
So let's just talk about how it was a second round knockout. Poirier won, right? For people that didn't watch it.
Yep.
So Dustin Poirier, who was ranked number 2, fights Connor, who's ranked 4. And this is Connor's like redemption. You know, he's had some struggles before, but this is kind of, you know, shaved the head. This is his redemption. He's serious, different Connor. Connor's back. Everything was set up for him to have this moment, right? And he started off, I thought round 1 was pretty good. He was really getting Poirier with the shoulders and wrestling pretty good. I thought he's going to get some good counter moves in the southpaw stance, right? But what was the death of Connor was the kicks. He just was not. So Poirier was just kicking the crap out of him, and Connor was just doing nothing to prevent it. And he was getting really good kicks. And then what happens? His freaking leg turns to like mud, you know, to like what'd you say before? Taco meat, like ground beef,
yeah.
And then he wasn't the same after that in round 2. And all it took was one big shot from Poirier to hurt him. And then once you get a shot like that, you get a big shot to the head like that, like he did, and your leg is messed up, you're done. What are you going to do?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to stand when you're already fucking like out on your feet to begin with. But when your leg is messed up as it was, like I was watching it with my mom legally. Let me just say that for Dana White. I was watching it
legally.
Yeah. And I was telling my mom, I was like, why the fuck is he doing that? Like, why is he's not checking any of these kicks, nothing, until like the second round when it was too late. And then his leg got torn up. He had to walk out on a crutch, like one crutch to leave the arena. I don't know what he was doing, to be honest.
Yeah, Connor is just, he's getting to the point where you have to start questioning maybe retirement is on the horizon for him. Because me and you are not big Connor fans, but we have to admit that he's been a beast for a while.
Yeah,
he's been definitely a beast, one of the best we'll ever see in UFC. But it's a couple of years since that, you know, since the Khabib fight, since the Nate Diaz fights. You know, he's getting old, and I think he needs to think about retirement because he's not the same fighter that he was just a couple of years ago.
Well, he's talking about how he's gonna fight again. Because he wants to stay active this time. So he's probably gonna have another fight this year, to be honest. I think if it goes as bad as this did, then yeah, he's probably gonna. It's not even like if he wants to. Yeah, I think he has to.
Yeah, who do you think he'll fight? Just randomly.
I mean, he's probably gonna get pushed into number I don't even know I don't know how the rankings work too well in UFC.
He'll probably fall a couple slots. Where he's.
Yeah.
Maybe definitely. Like the 8 range, 10 range.
Yeah, let me see the middleweight rankings really quick. You say some stuff.
Yeah, so who I was thinking that they might set up, I think Dan Hooker versus Connor, because they both ended up losing. They're both probably going to go down. They both have something to prove, you know? So I think Dan Hooker could be interesting. Maybe Ferguson, Felder. I don't think he's going to fight someone at the top. I think you're going to see someone more in the middle.
Yeah, he needs to work back up.
He's, like we said, McGregor's great, but he's just not that top fighter right now. He needs to get back that confidence. I think his confidence is shy right now. You know, during the fight, he just looked out of it, you know? The talent's still there, but, you're a great fighter. You know you can't be taking those leg kicks for a whole round. Because when what happens, your leg gets messed up and you can't really maneuver too good, and you can't defend as good.
Poirier, not to take away from Poirier, he played the fight amazingly. He did a really good job. He did everything he needed to do to win, and he did it perfectly, and that's why it ended up like that. Because Connor, I don't know, maybe he didn't take him as seriously. Maybe the fight camp wasn't too good. I'm not sure, but he played that fight amazingly. And I mean, I don't know where he goes from here because I don't think Khabib's coming out of retirement.
Yeah.
I think Dana White said that Khabib was talking to him, and he was talking about how none of the guys in the division are on his level, which is honestly probably true. Because Khabib's, I'm a big Khabib guy. That's my guy. I love Khabib. Russian, love the guy. I think he's right. I don't think anybody's on that level. I don't think I see him coming out of retirement.
Yeah, there's nothing to come out of retirement for. There's nobody.
Exactly. So where does this put? I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
Yeah, there's nobody really putting pressure on him to come out and defend his belt.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think Dustin Poirier is gonna all of a sudden now he's on Khabib's level because he beat Conor and Conor's kind of declining? No. Yeah, we've seen the Gaji fight. That was a great fight, but he stood no chance. Nobody's banging at the door for Khabib to come out. There's no reason for him to come out.
Yeah.
He's the undisputed champ. Unless someone else is threatening your title or your belt, there's no reason to come out. Because what if all it takes is one bad fight or mistake and you lose your belt? So there's no reason to put that at risk.
What do you think they should do with the division? Do you think they should like make it fight for the title, but relinquish it from Khabib? I'm not sure.
I think, bro, honestly, with UFC, they should just make a new belt. That's what they do, right? When someone holds it for too long and they're retired, or they take it and leave, or they go up a class, they go down, whatever. Just make a new belt. Just make a new lightweight belt, and then just have guys like Gaji, Poirier, Oliveira fight for that. Ferguson, have them fight for a new belt, and that's it. Whoever wins it, they're the champ now until Khabib comes out of retirement.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much else to say about the UFC thing.
Who do you think? So Poirier won, right? Who do you think what's the next fight for him? Who's he fighting next?
I mean, probably, maybe Oliveira, or I mean, it's either him or I don't know how to pronounce his name. Gaethje. Yeah. It's either one of the two,
it has
right?
To be.
Because I mean, Oliveira is on a big win streak, 8 wins. Gaethje's still ranked number 1, but I don't know where the Poirier win might put him at number 1 now. And maybe they fight for the title. Who knows?
I think they're gonna set it up so that maybe they do Oliveira for now, and then if Poirier wins, then they'll set it up as the championship fight, a belt fight with Gaji and Poirier, or they can go cut to the chase and just fight them both. But I don't think Dana White does that. He likes to drag things on, make storylines bigger. At the same time, you don't really want Poirier to lose to Liv. Oh well, if Olivier Vera beats Poirier, that could maybe potentially even be a bigger story. Because the guy's red hot right now; he's still new, and if he beats Poirier, I think that could be pretty good. So I think Poirier versus Oliveira, whoever wins battles Gaji next fight. So that's actually, now that I'm thinking and speaking out loud, it actually does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I can see that too. I know Dana White's mad because he's not getting that Conor Khabib too. I know he's mad about that because that probably would have been the biggest fight in UFC history if that happened.
Anything else? Chandler versus
Chandler. Yeah, Chandler looked good in this fight. He beat the fuck up on a Hooker. It was bad. I mean, if he because he was already hot coming out of Bellator. So I mean, if he continues to look good in these fights, I mean, he might just shoot his way up the rankings too, and then he's in contention for a title fight. I think maybe Chandler might be one of the only people that Khabib might come out of retirement for, if he stays hot. If he starts winning all these fights in the UFC, and then I think I could see that Chandler Khabib fight.
Yeah, I definitely see Chandler as the hot prospect right now. Someone that if he gets hot, if he wins some big fights, he's gonna be up there towards the top, and he might be the only one I would be worried about in terms of getting Khabib to unretire. Because I don't think McGregor's there anymore. Poirier, maybe. Gaji, no. Olivier Vera, maybe. But the Hooker looked really good in his fight. I mean, sorry. Chandler. Chandler looked really good in his fight against Hooker. He looked really good. He was very impressive. And Hooker had the size advantage, the length, everything was in his favor. He just beat the shit out of him.
And then the
And the
backflip at
back
the
flip
end, that was fun.
hilarious. That was actually very impressive. I thought he was gonna hurt himself. Whenever the athletes do the flips like that, I always like hold my breath. But that was a sick. I think that was pretty cool. So
it's a good way to make an impression on these people that don't know who you are.
Who do you think he'll line up next fight?
I mean, he just beat Hooker, who's ranked 6, right?
I can see Ferguson.
Yeah, Ferguson fight.
Anyos.
Yeah.
I think Dos Anjos I think that's pretty likely. He'll end up fighting.
Yeah, that's probably
How about
next.
Felder?
I mean, I think it could be any of the three, to be honest. Anybody that's near the rankings with Dan Hooker.
Because I think he needs to... Because he won, he needs to reprove himself again, make sure it's not a fluke. So he's probably going to get someone in that range.
Yeah, I don't think he goes up any higher than Ferguson for a next fight.
It's also good to get his feet wet, kind of, because that was his first fight. So now he needs to fight someone different, new skill set, new strategy to it. Prove himself. That wasn't a fluke. So I think Ferguson is pretty likely. I think that's my number one, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that coming up. Probably sometime later this year, too.
Yeah, probably like late of the year.
Yeah, late, like December, November type show.
So that was UFC. Conor versus Poirier. Great fight. Conor McGregor kind of looks like he's on the decline.
Yeah, Jake Paul's next. He's knocking on the door.
Bro, should we even mention Jake Paul?
I'm telling you, he's knocking on the door right now.
Jake Paul really actually has a chance to be something. I don't know what. I don't think he's gonna be great, but he could be something. I don't know.
I just want to say, there's no way that Dana White allows that fight to happen.
Cool.
Allows a Conor Jake Paul fight to happen. There's absolutely no way. Because let's just say, there's no way it happens. There's no way I see Jake Paul beating Conor McGregor in any type of fight. Just because, I mean, who's Jake Paul fought? He fought Nate Robinson. Wow, like that's
KSI.
Scary. Fought KSI and some other YouTuber. It's like he hasn't fought an actual like trained boxer, you know? And at least Conor McGregor's not the best boxer, but he can fight, you know? He can beat the shit out of somebody. But God forbid Conor loses. You know how bad that makes the UFC look?
It puts your whole UFC in jeopardy of like, are these guys actually the best in the world if some YouTuber just trains for a couple months?
Yeah, exactly. Like, and beats one of the biggest fighters that have ever come out of the UFC. Like, that delegitimizes some shit, like some word like that. The sport badly. There's no way Dana fight allows that fight to happen in any way.
Even if it's a 1% chance, the fact that 1% chance can really hurt UFC as a whole is just really bad. You know?
Yeah. Like, Jake Paul doesn't lose in this situation.
Yeah. If
he loses, he lost to Conor McGregor. If he wins, do you know what that does for him? Like, that elevates him big time.
That takes him from like a joke he's just a YouTuber to this guy can fight. He might be the best, you know, like. So he doesn't lose if he, like you said, if he gets knocked out, he fought Conor. What do you know? And Conor can beat up anybody, you know, still. And then if he wins, he makes a lot of money and he gets a lot of fame.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lose-lose for Conor and a win-win for Jake Paul. And a lose for the UFC in general. That's just huge.
Yeah, I think he needs to start proving himself a little bit more. Like, okay, you could fight old retired basketball players who are short. Like how tall is Nate? 5'8"?
5'10", something like that.
Okay, you could beat up a 5'10" former basketball player or another YouTuber. But what can he do against an actual fighter? You know, like a professional fighter. Yeah. So I think he needs to work his way up. He's nowhere near fighting Conor. That would never happen.
No way.
So that's UFC. We can switch it over to basketball. So for basketball, not a whole lot happening right now. Just a lot of suspensions. Not suspensions. Games getting suspended right now. Still, which is really sad. And I'm looking at it now. How many games has it been? 14 already?
Yeah.
It's like 14 games suspended. I'm starting to really question, is the season going to finish? And if it does, is it gonna have to stop and restart again? Because 14 games suspended, that's 14 games you have to make up later in the year. Where are you gonna find 14 games? How many back-to-backs are guys gonna be playing?
There's just no way that every team is going to be able to get to 72 games.
Yeah, not at this point.
Absolutely not. I think by the end of the season, they're going to rank playoffs by like winning percentage or some shit.
Yeah.
There's like these teams cannot play all these back-to-backs like you said. And we've been talking about this for the past 2 weeks. You know, like how are they going to continue this season? They're not going to be able to make all these games up. It's just not.
The math doesn't add up.
Yeah, like they already have like. I'm pretty sure they already have time slots for the playoffs and shit, like already bought up, you know? They would have to like postpone it, especially if these games matter for the playoffs. And they lose a lot of money doing that. So I think they're going to have to end up doing like a winning percentage thing or something. And they're probably going to have to put the playoffs back in the bubble.
Yeah.
I don't think they can... Just like these players are like... You get COVID like going to and from the arenas now. Just happens out of nowhere. Like Jason Tatum got that shot out of nowhere. He had to quarantine. He's coming back today. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like they're gonna have to do something. They have to act fast too.
It's only getting worse, and it's not slowing down. I was actually thinking, what about this? What if, because right now they're scheduled to play 72, and there's so many games that have been canceled. Do you think maybe at the All-Star break they do some kind of like rescheduling? They change the schedule a little bit. And try to get it down to maybe 65, just to help.
Yeah, where every team plays like
65.
The same amount now.
They say, okay, we have to remake 14, but if we put the schedule from 72 to 65, then we only have to reschedule like 6 or 7, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then those teams that rescheduled can verse each other a bunch at the end, just to catch up or something. I don't know. But
the thing is, though, if they do that, there's still a chance that the players get COVID and then there's more games postponed still, even after they reschedule. Yeah. Like, I don't know how the NBA can win in this situation, to be honest.
Yeah, I think, like we said before, Adam Silver needs to kind of step up right now. He's a great commissioner and everything, and everybody loves Adam Silver, but the way the season's playing out is not good. Especially after they had such a great season, how they handled it in the bubble last year. Well, not even last year, a couple of months ago. Like, it was handled really well, and I don't think any COVID cases really came out that much.
No, there wasn't any. But the thing is, the bubble is not sustainable for a 72-game season.
Of course not.
Like, the players are losing their minds after, like, the playoffs. And, like, especially the teams that go deep, like, let's say, like, a Lakers team or something like that. Like, they feel the effects of it the most because they're there the whole time, and they don't get to go home to see anybody, nothing like that, you know, which really does take a toll on these players who, you know, a lot of them are family men, you know, they play the game for their family. Just like that.
Yeah, and everything they do is under a microscope, you know. It's like, is their mask on? Is their gloves on? Who are they with? Are they leaving? Are they staying? When they get food, how are they getting the food? Is it DoorDash? Is it someone delivering it? Are they leaving? Like, everything they do, you have to look at, because if they make one mistake, they're out for a week, and that's in a playoff series. You might miss them for like 3 games.
That's a lot.
And that's the series is over. So, I think basketball needs to kind of get a grip of things.
Yeah, definitely.
But we should talk about, so a lot of games getting suspended, but the games that are being played in New York right now, the Knicks. So last pod, the Knicks were trending up, right? They won 2 in a row last pod.
Yep.
Now they're kind of in a weird spot where they're losing games, but they're in it. And they're winning some games, and they look good. Like, they beat the Warriors, which is great. They smoked the Warriors, I thought. It wasn't too close, even though...
It was an ugly game, though. I hated
that game. It was very ugly. Just
80 free throws shot between both teams. I hated it.
So we beat the Warriors. Then we versed the Kings, who the Kings are not that great, and their defense is very suspect at best. Right? So you think, okay, Knicks versus the worst defense, they should pop off for like 100-something point, like 110, 115. And they kind of got clamped. And nobody can stop De'Aaron Fox, and Halliburton played great. And it was like, I thought that was a game that they should have won, which they didn't. And I talked about this before, how the Knicks roster plays down to their competition or plays up to their competition. Because you beat the Warriors, who had just beaten the Lakers not that long ago, a couple days before that. They beat the Warriors. Okay, Warriors not a great team, but they were still had momentum coming into that game, and they're at home. Then you lose to the Kings, who were like 5-8, and they weren't really playing inspired basketball. Then you verse Portland. Portland's pretty good, but you had a very clear chance to win that game, and they kind of botch it late in the game. You know, at halftime they were down 20. They make a really big run, sparked up by Emmanuel Quickly, who needs to be starting. That's no question. I just want to get that out there. And late in the game, with like 2 minutes left, they're still taking 2-pointers, layups, contested jump shots in the mid range. Like when you're trying to play catch up, you have to you need shooting to hit the threes. That's how you get catch up. You shoot a 3, you give 2 on the other end, come back, shoot another 3. Now you're up 4? Give up another 2. Now you're up 2. That's how you have to play catch up. You can't keep trading baskets. You're not gonna catch up like that. If you're giving up 2 and then you're getting 2, you're not gonna catch up. So that was something that was frustrating. That they're doing so good, they're getting turnovers late in the game in that Portland game, but they weren't shooting the 3. Like if you want to catch up, you got to either get to the line, stop the clock, shoot 3-point play. We got to start shooting 3-pointers, catching up that way, and they didn't because they don't have the talent to do that. Quickly was lighting it up. He shot 31 points in that game. He was lighting it up. But outside of him, nobody. Who's shooting a 3-pointer on that team? The answer is nobody.
Yeah, Alex Burks shot pretty well.
Yeah, he did shoot. So Alex Burks is a solid one, but Randall's not going to shoot. Mitch's not going to shoot. Rivers, since that great game he had a couple weeks ago, who were you racing? Do you remember?
I could find out.
Yeah, I forgot who the Alex Burks game. Not the Alex Burks, the Austin Rivers game.
The Utah game.
Yeah, Utah. So after that game, he hasn't really done much. He's kind of cooled on a lot. Kevin Knox sucks. I don't mind a bit. I hate Kevin Knox. Kind of sucks. I don't like him.
Yeah.
Toppin's starting off his rookie year slow. Not a bust yet. It's only a handful of games in a weird season. They need to calm down with that. Let him play the rookie season out first before you call him a bust. And, it's just frustrating. I think if the Knicks are serious about competing and getting to the playoffs and trying to do something in the playoffs, they got to make some trades. They need a point guard that can shoot outside of Quickly. Yeah. They can use a shooting guard that can shoot. Maybe push Barrett to the 3. So maybe you put like a Buddy Hield at the 2. You put Quickly next to him. That's a lot of shooting there. Then you get RJ and Randall. They can space out the floor a little bit, but it opens up the lanes for them to drive and be more effective there. So this Knicks team, they're going to stay around 500, up and down. Maybe they go over a little bit, under a little bit. But they got to make some trades at the deadline if they want to actually win something other than, we are a competent team now trophy,
Yeah.
How do you feel?
About what?
About just the Knicks in general.
I agree with you that Quickly needs to start. He's playing really good basketball, and they're just not using him to his full potential. I mean, I pretty much agree with you with whatever you had to say. Like, 3-point shooting is a must in this league now. Like, it's not 10 years ago where you can get by on being like a mediocre 3-point percentage team. Every team can shoot the 3-ball, you know? Every good team can shoot the 3-ball, is what I mean to say. You can look at every single team in the league that's in the playoffs or like that makes a deep run, they can shoot the 3. I mean, the Heat last year, they had amazing 3-point shooters. The Lakers have some good 3-point shooting, It's like, you're not going to go far in the league if you're just making layups, That's it. No.
Yeah, Payne's not... There's a notion that Payne plays good defense, and he doesn't turn the ball over, and he's a steady hand, and he's a vet. That's all that's BS. He doesn't play good defense. He's not Ben Simmons out there at the point, playing lock-up defense, guarding 1-5. No. He gives you good defense. He's a hustler. Sure. But he's not giving you all NBA defense out there that warrants him to be out there over Quickly. What Quickly gives you in offense doubles what Payne would give you on defense. And Payne and Quickly's defense is not that bad. So it's not a huge upgrade for Payne quickly on defense. It's an upgrade, sure, but it's about offense, in this league. Defense only gets you so far. Like I said, Knicks are the number 1 ranked defense right now, and they're under 500. Had they been a mediocre offensive team, they'd probably be a couple games over.
Yeah, definitely, I agree.
So that's the Knicks. It's good that they're competitive now after all these years of not being competitive. But now that we're competitive, I think we have to kind of start acting and holding the team to, accountable when it comes to being competitive. Just because they're competitive doesn't make the season a success. Like it's great. Don't get me wrong, but you want to see some kind of sustainable success. You want to see that the front office knows how to build and knows how to identify the problems on the team and address it. Because if we finish this season and this is the roster and they don't make no moves, it's like, what are we doing? Like, are we trying to win?
I hear you.
Yeah, so I'm very passionate about the Knicks, so I always get riled up with them.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And then another team in New York struggling right now is the Nets.
Yeah. So let me talk about that. So the Nets, they finally get the big 3 in, right? They get KD, Kyrie. Actually, no. Did Durant play that first game against the Cavs?
I'm pretty certain. I don't think he played the second game.
Yeah. Okay. So they had the big 3 in that first game, right? Everybody's going off. KD played 50 minutes, which is huge. So did James Harden, but KD playing 50 minutes off like that big injury is big. That's really good to see. You always want to see a player like KD playing. He's one of a kind,
Yeah, of course.
But KD drops 38, Kyrie drops 37, James Harden drops a triple-double, 21 points, But they lose to the Cavs in double overtime. 147 to 135. When the fuck is the last time the Cavs scored that many points ever? They scored 112 points in regulation to start off. So, when's the last time the Cavs scored 112 points? This has to be a team that doesn't have a good,
offense.
Doesn't have a good defense. The Nets defense is terrible.
Oh, yeah.
They let up 275 points, just about that, to the Cavs in 2 games. That's horrid. And the Cavs don't have a good offense. The offense does not warrant scoring 275 points in 2 games, That's going to be a big issue when you come to the playoffs as the Nets, and teams take advantage of that, I said this. I said Jared Allen being traded is big because he's a good defensive anchor. DeAndre Jordan isn't that anymore. Maybe if you had DeAndre Jordan like 5-6 years ago, it would have been different. But DeAndre Jordan isn't that player anymore. They don't have any rim protection, and their defense in general just isn't good. So what should the Nets do in this situation now?
Yeah, you're asking me, right?
Yeah,
so
I'm asking.
I just want to credit you that when the trade happened and we talked about it on the podcast, you said that trading Jared Allen didn't even like that because it was a big loss, and I kind of was like, he's not that great of a player. But now, a week later, they're really missing out on him because they don't have the rim protection or the rebounding. They're really struggling at that facet of the game. And it's great that they have all this offense, but at the end of the day, there's one basketball and one person can shoot the ball. And you really need... So your offense is limited on that side. And if you're giving up 122, 125, 147, 125, 128, these are the points they gave up in their last 5 games. You're not going to win. They need to... I've talked about it before. I think JaVale McGee is a pretty good fit for them. I think trying to get in the buyout market or centers in the scrap heap, Tyson Chandler types. Maybe Nerlens Noel on the Knicks right now. He was brought in to be competition with Mitch, but Mitch is kind of beating him out straight up. So I think the Knicks can flip him for a second or something, or some player, or some money, or I don't know, something. And then they can get better that way because they just need someone who can stand in front of the rim, check the rim somewhat, and get rebounds. That's all they need. Not really that much.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that DeAndre Jordan can't be that because he's making $10 million a year. But they this is a serious problem, and I really like if they don't address it and they don't get better somehow, their potential is going to be stunted.
Yeah.
You know, if they verse, let's just say they get to the finals. Let's just say it. What are they going to do against the Lakers? Who's going to guard LeBron?
Yeah, who's stopping AD?
Who's going to guard LeBron? Who's guarding AD? They're going to put up like 50 points and 50 rebounds each.
Yeah.
You know, if you're getting cooked by Colin Sexton, and he was playing great, but Colin Sexton isn't, you know, he's nothing crazy. He's Colin Sexton. He's
not LeBron or AD, which are players you're going to have to go up against. And even the players in their own conference, you know? Like, you have to go up against Giannis in the playoffs. You got to go up against Embiid, who's playing like an MVP right now. He's playing spectacular.
Sabonis.
Yeah, Sabonis, you got to play up against Jimmy Butler and that whole Heat team. Because Jimmy Butler's not really the main scorer. That whole Heat team can score.
Look at Bam. Bam absolutely feasted on them. Oh my God. Like, Bam was cooking them bad. And they had no answer.
But I mean, and Nets ended up winning that game. But I mean, yeah, Bam dropping 41. Huge.
Yeah.
That's really big.
Yeah, I think they need to try to grab a free agent center for a veteran minimum. Or maybe like a Ed Davis. I think Ed Davis is on like Minnesota. Bring him back because he was on the team. Let him be they need someone to just stand in the paint and grab a couple of boards for them, please. Because they're getting absolutely cooked on the second chance, third chance opportunities.
It's not looking good. But I mean, they'll figure it out. I'd imagine that's a hard team to coach and a hard team to figure out like what you're gonna do with it. Because you just have like 3 all like elite scorers, you know? So I mean, you gotta figure out what to do on that defensive end. Especially when you gave up a lot of your team for that.
And a lot of picks.
Mm-hmm. Like if you can't fuck this up. Or you're gonna be in the same situation you were when you traded for Garnett and Paul Pierce.
Yeah.
This team is 100% mentality. You have to win in the next couple years.
Like 2, 3.
You know? Yeah. You have to win. And if you don't, then you really messed up.
Then it was a huge failure. It was all for nothing.
Yeah, then it looks like the Rockets fucking made out in that trade.
Looks like they got finessed.
I wouldn't mind it, but I mean, yeah.
Listen, you only do that at James Harden trade if it means an NBA championship. Not the second place trophy, not a deep playoff run, not the Nets are relevant now. You do it for an NBA championship. That's the only reason you trade 8 first-round picks. And if they don't, they're screwed. It's a failure. Everything is a failure.
Agreed.
So that's the Knicks and Nets. Kind of completely different teams, right? We're kind of in a similar situation right now. That they're both kind of struggling. Nick
on one facet
of the ball badly. And let's just talk about the beef between Donovan Mitchell and Shaq. I don't know. Would you consider it a beef?
It's the stupidest shit ever.
You want to explain what happened?
So, what game was it? Donovan Mitchell had a great game, right? He drops 36 points, and they're doing like the Inside the NBA interview with him. And I mean, Shaq pretty much just called him a fucking scrub. Which is like, I don't know how you call Donovan Mitchell a scrub, because he's not. Like, he had such an amazing playoff performance last year, even if he got bumped, you know? He played amazing. Him and Jamal Murray, those games were some of the most entertaining games in those playoffs last year. And he calls him a scrub. Shaq tells him he doesn't think he has what it takes to take it to the next level. And it's like, he's saying that it's like supposed to be constructive criticism. But there's like nothing constructive about it when you're just straight up bashing him. And I think LeBron said it too. He's like soft hating. Or no, KD, one of them said it. Like, Shaq is actually soft hating. Which he is. It's not even soft at that point. It's like in your face, you know? And he's always talking shit about, I don't know what he has the problem with the Jazz for. He's always talking shit about Rudy Gobert, who, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. He deserves to make that money, you know? Mm-hmm. He's a defensive anchor, one of the best defensive players in the league. Donovan Mitchell is one of the most exciting players to watch. He's young, he plays well, he drops points. That's all he needs to do. I don't know what you want him to take to the next level, you know?
Yeah. And
go ahead.
I was just going to build on your point about constructive criticism, because the way it's not about like criticizing him or anything, because you can criticize anybody to get them better, and be tough on people.
Yeah.
But the way he presented it, it was just it was like, bro, why are you hating? Because he didn't say, "Oh, I don't like your game because of this. You need to get better at it." He was just like, "I don't think you're good enough to get to the next level. You're not that good." After he just won the game against the Pelicans and he dropped 34, like, what do you want him to say? It's like,
and he handled it very well.
He was just like, okay, I'll use that to motivate me. Okay, and Shaq, I don't know what Shaq was doing. He was like, I wanted you to hear that. Oh, like Shaq, why are you hating on someone who could so young and so exciting in the NBA? Like, the kid's I think Donovan Mitchell's only still like 24. Like, he's not. Yeah, it's not like he's a 30-year-old, 32-year-old trying to win a ring. You're just like, oh, you're 32, you're never gonna win a ring. You're not gonna take it to the next level. It's just like, bro, why are you hating on the new generation? Like, Shaq's he was way too good of a player to be like this insecure about his legacy. It's like, bro, you were one of the greatest basketball players of all time, big man. Why are you like? Why do you have to keep proving yourself to the young generation? Like, bro, everybody knows you were good. We get it, you're good. Why do you have to shit on the new generation? It just, I like, agree. Bro, Shaq, just calm down, bro. Okay.
Some funny things that happened. Some guy on Instagram, he posted a picture of Donovan Mitchell dunking on Shaq, and Shaq DM'd him and told him he said, "Shut your dumb ass up." And then today, Shaq posted on Instagram like a bunch of pictures of like all the guards he's played with. So he posted a picture of like him and T-Mac, him and Nash, him and Penny. I'm not T-Mac, I'm sorry, Penny. Him and Penny, him and Kobe, Wade, Nash, LeBron, And he goes, "This is what greatness at the guard position looks like. I play with the best to ever do it. I know what the best looks like. Hashtag don't have to hate." Like, come on, he's acting like a teenager. Yeah. Like, you are the most dominant center in the history of the NBA. I don't think he's the best center. He's one of my favorite players too, but I don't think he's the best center to ever play. But he's easily the most dominant player that's ever played, right? Everybody knows that. Nobody ever thinks about Shaq and is like, damn, was he really that nice? No, he was. Why? And the worst part is that his job is an NBA analyst, and it feels like he doesn't even watch half the game sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, you see Donovan Mitchell do what he did, and you're like, yeah, you don't have what it takes to take it to the next level. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Donovan Mitchell just carried his team to a win, and he played great that game, and he had some big shots in the fourth. And that's where you thought it would be appropriate to criticize him. It's different. Like, if he had just lost a game where he played bad, and then you kind of criticize on how he played, sure, fine. But I think he was just playing. I think this is all built up. Like, he just wanted to shit on him. And he was thinking about it, and then he just so happened to be talking to him, Or maybe he just did it for, like, the views, the clicks or something. But I don't think Shaq's like that. I don't think he cares about the clicks and the views. I don't think he's like a blowhard. I just think he's, like, insecure. I don't know why.
Yeah. It seems like that, the way he'd be talking to, like, Charles Barkley sometime.
Like, yeah, exactly. He always has to shit on Charles Barkley. And he has to be like, well, I got rings and you don't. I'll put up these numbers, you didn't. Like, bro, everybody knows you could. Why do you have to validate yourself even more? It's like, bro.
The thing is, like, Charles Barkley played in, like, such a, he played with Michael Jordan, bro.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan blocked so many amazing players from winning rings. If Shaq got drafted the same year as Barkley, I don't think Shaq would have a ring either.
Probably not.
Like, if his career was, like, the same length as Barkley's,
It was the same tenured.
But, yeah. But he got, he came in, like, just around the time that Jordan and the big three were winding down. He won the three-peat, and then he had his own three-peat. So, I mean, I guess he got better off. He got lucky.
Charles Barkley played against the Bulls. Shaq was on the Bulls in his era, He was on the Laker team that stopped so many good teams from winning. Charles Barkley had to go against him. Not to say Charles Barkley's better than Shaq or anything like that. I'm just saying, like,
No.
Shaq needs to like bring it down a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
So that was that.
I think that's it for basketball, right?
The bubble, that potentially, right? The Nets struggling.
Mm-hmm.
The Knicks struggling a little bit. The shooting. Yeah, that's it. Let's swing it over to football. Big football weekend this week.
Yeah. One thing, you want to start with everything else that happened first, and then we'll talk about the championship game?
Yeah. Let's just fill in our listeners on what happened this week.
All right. So, I want to start with Dan Campbell and his press conference.
That's a good place to start.
This guy's insane.
Yeah.
His press conference, he sounds like he's like a WWE wrestler. I thought I was listening to like Kane or something, or The Undertaker, talk about eating people's kneecaps and shit. He was such a weird press conference.
Yeah, so if you didn't know, Dan Campbell got the job with the Lions to take over Matt Patricia. And he had the press conference same day as a lot of people. Like Salah had his press conference, and he had the same day. So Salah was making headlines because of how great he sounded. Dan Campbell was making headlines because his press conference was questionable, right?
Yeah, you felt really strongly about it, so you can talk about it more than I can.
Goes on a rant about like how the Lions are going to be gritty, and this is like a new Lions team and new mentality, which is great. You always want to hear that with the new head coaches. You always want to see what's going to be different, how you're different from the last guy, right? But the way he explained himself was so like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, he's just talking about how when the Lions are going to get knocked down, they're going to get up and eat someone's kneecap, right? So like, okay, that's a little weird to say. And then he goes on, he's like, but if we're going to eat your kneecap, and if you knock us down twice, or you hit us twice as hard, we're going to get up twice as faster and eat 2 kneecaps. It's like, okay. Then he's like, you knock us down 3 times, we're going to get up 3 times and eat 3 kneecaps. Like, bro, like, you're still going with this analogy? Like, what the hell is up with you and kneecaps? God forbid I walk around this guy with my kneecap out. This guy's going to eat it.
Yeah, I'm going to walk around with a bat. I'm going to smash your kneecaps.
Yeah.
And then, if you take the bat away, I'm going to shoot you. Like, what are you talking about?
Sounds like Batman, bro, but, like, scared. Like, bro. It's like, what are you talking? Like, I didn't like his press conference at all. I know some Lions fans. Like, I was actually looking under like so I think Bleacher Report posted it, or ESPN, one of them. And I was looking at the comments under it on Twitter, and Lions fans loved it. Like, yeah, this is like the '80s Lions. Yeah, like, bro, what the fuck? It's like, okay, if that's what the Lions fan likes, congratulations. But I think I'd rather hear my head coach talk about schemes and how he's updating, the offense or defense. Like how he's modernizing the team. Not some guy talking about eating kneecaps. Like, bro, what? It's like, I don't know about that. Maybe he's a good head coach. Maybe. But for press conference, if we're grading straight press conference grades, probably like a D. I don't know what the hell he was talking about. Talking about eating kneecaps. Like, bro, what?
Yeah, he was a little scary. Yeah. I'm not going to
lie. So that was the signing. The Eagles hired somebody. Who'd they hire?
They hired the Colts offensive coordinator, Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni. The Colts offense, it wasn't the best, but it also wasn't like the worst. They were kind of like in like the top third of like all teams in the NFL when it came to like total offense and shit. So anything has to be better than Doug Peterson, I'd imagine, right?
Yeah, and not for nothing, I'll give Sirianni, I think that's how you pronounce it, right? Sirianni, yeah. I'll give him some leeway because when Andrew Luck was their head coach, when he was their quarterback, their quarterback. They had a pretty great offense, right?
Yeah.
But when the talent kind of went away, when they put like Brissett and Rivers, who were nowhere near the level of play that Andrew Luck was playing at, and then T.Y. Hilton's getting older, and there's not a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball, and they were still pretty decent. So I actually think that this could be a potential great hire just based off his work with the Colts, So you can't always just look at oh, they hired the Colts offensive coordinator. What did the Colts offensive coordinator do this year? Like, where was the offense ranked? Oh, it was ranked 20th or something, somewhere around there. Did you say? Oh, he's not going to be good. You kind of have to look at the whole picture. Like, who's the quarterback? What's the situation going on there? Who's calling plays? And he kind of looks like Doug Peterson too, the old white guy with the gray hair. I mean, they definitely have a preference in their guys, in their head coaches.
Seems that way.
So I think it could be interesting. I hope he's just as bad as Doug Peterson. I freaking hate the Eagles. I hope he's horrible. I hope Nick Foles is his quarterback. Unless...
You remember when everyone thought that Carson Wentz was like the greatest quarterback of all time?
Yeah.
3 years ago. Crazy to think.
Yeah, it is crazy.
We'll go from that one Lions head coach to another. Matt Patricia signed back with the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
They always come crawling back.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I don't even know what his like official title is. I think it's like a multifaceted coach or something
stupid,
like Yeah, I can't even find it. Matt Patricia returning to New England Patriots to assist Bill Belichick's staff. What does that mean?
That means he's not calling plays anymore.
It just says he's the assistant. So, I mean, that's pretty much it with that. I don't really want to talk about Matt Patricia too much. Mm-hmm. The Steelers are interviewing the former Browns head coach, Hugh Jackson, for offensive coordinator. Let me just start off and say that's terrible. That's not
don't
good.
Do that.
No. I don't think that's how you want Big Ben to go out with Hugh Jackson calling his plays. I mean, Hugh Jackson coached Baker, didn't look too good. So yeah, no, let's not do that.
Yeah, I think Hugh Jackson's had enough opportunity in the NFL as a OC, as a head coach. Winning doesn't really follow you. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, when you go 1-15 and then 0-16,
and then what did they finish before he got fired? What were they, like 2-6?
They were 2-5, 2-5 and 1.
Yes, the tie. Yeah. So
Cleveland, he was 3 for 36, and then when he had coached the Raiders that one year, he was 8-8.
Yeah.
So I mean, let's not. If I'm the Steelers, I'm not gonna do that. But I'm not the Steelers, so what do I know?
No, you make a good point.
That's pretty much it. So let's get into championship games.
You start off?
Yeah, one thing I want to say about championship games, I honestly might love them more than watching the Super Bowl. Just because I feel like championship games are like strictly about football, The Super Bowl's like, it's more of a spectacle now than it is like a football game, I feel like sometimes. Like, people care so much about the halftime show and, this and that. I feel like the championship games, the football always takes, like, center stage,
Yeah, I agree, yeah.
And I think we had some pretty good games.
Yeah.
The first game, Tampa Bay beats the Green Bay Packers 31-26. Tom Brady's going to his
9th?
What is it? 9th Super Bowl? Or 10th, I think? 10th Super Bowl.
Well, he has 6 rings, right?
He's 6-3.
So 9?
Yeah.
She's 10th?
No, yeah, so he's going to his 10th Super
God.
Bowl. He won his first NFC Championship game.
Same amount of championships, NFC championships as Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, which, kind of sucks to see because Aaron Rodgers is an amazing talent. But Tom Brady looked great in the first half, right? Aaron Rodgers looked all right. And then this kind of flipped a little bit. In the second half, Tom Brady threw fucking 3 interceptions, 3 drives in a row. And Aaron Rodgers looked great. But I think the main story is the end of the game, right? So, it's, they're on the 8-yard line, 1st and goal. Aaron Rodgers throws it, right? I'll even get the drive, just so I can. Aaron Rodgers, he throws an incomplete pass to Lazard, right? On 1st and goal. Then he throws an incomplete pass to Devontae Adams. And then the 3rd and goal is where it's like kind of iffy. He's running, right? And he has plenty of space, If anything, to get them closer, if not score a touchdown. Like, he had a lot of space to run. And Aaron Rodgers isn't like the slowest person. He's not like Tom Brady slow. But then, for some reason, he throws it across the field, across his body, and it's an incomplete pass to Devontae Adams. So 4th and 8 now, and I think this is the most egregious thing. These go for a field goal on 4th and 8. If you have Aaron Rodgers, who's one of the most talented players the NFL's ever seen, you give him that chance to end the game. You don't give Tom Brady the ball with 2 minutes left to just watch him, and hope your defense can stop him. I don't like Tom Brady. I don't care how many interceptions he throws before. He's always going to come in and he's going to be calm about it, just because he's been in this situation so many. This is a regular game for him.
Mm.
This was his 14th championship game. This is a normal game for him. He's played as many championship games as there almost is in a regular season, Mm. You don't give Tom Brady that time to finish the game out and just sit it out, You have to give Aaron Rodgers the opportunity to take that 4th and 8. If he loses, they lose. But at least you tried, Mm-hmm. I didn't see the reason to go for that field goal. I thought it was a very dumb decision. And then the pass interference call at the end that everybody's mad about. The guy's holding on to, I forgot who it was, but he's holding on to him. And then they called the flag really late. Which, I could understand why people are mad about that. Because, the whole game they really let them play, which I really liked. I think there was 3 penalties the whole game. And then, the pass is incomplete, and then everybody's standing around looking, and then they throw the flag late. So, one thing I feel about refs in, any sport is, consistency, You have to be consistent in your calls and what you're going to call. If you're not going to call anything else the rest of the game, then I don't think they should have called that pass interference, to be honest. But that's just me. And if they did, they should have called it immediately, not 5 seconds, 10 seconds after. But that's just me.
Yeah. I agree. I think as far as the pass interference go, I think if Godwin doesn't fall and trip, because he kind of tripped, the tug didn't really make him fall, right? He just tripped, and it just so happened that he was tugging it. I think if he doesn't fall and doesn't sell it more, I don't even think they throw a flag. I don't see it. And like you said, consistency is huge. They weren't calling it all game. And then when it matters the most, they call it. It's well, it's are you letting us play or are you letting us not play, So I can see why fans are mad. Listen, we're obviously it's a pass interference. There's no question. Pass interference. But it's the fact that what was surrounding it was that they were making plays like that on both sides and not calling it. And then they call it in a big spot. I think that's where people have the issue with it. And I think that's just...
Yeah, I agree.
I'm just going to have to agree with Packer fans in this one, where if you're not calling it all game, don't call it. Just be consistent. I know it's a big situation, and you don't want to end up in a situation with the Rams and the Saints, right? With the pass interference a couple years ago, and it was egregious that you missed it. But I don't think this was a situation where it was too bad. It was a tug on the jersey. I don't even think he could have caught the ball anyways. It was over his head by a lot. So I just didn't like that call. And in terms of the whole game, I think this is 2 very evenly matched teams. And the deciding factor in this game was coaching. The coaching was the difference between Green Bay winning and the Tampa Bay winning. The Bucks. Because if you looked at how Bruce Arians coached, he went for it. He was aggressive. He knew what he was doing. There was a play where it was 7 seconds before the half, right? And he took a timeout. He's like, let me think about it. Because do we want to run a play? Do we want to kick it? Do we want to punt it? He says, let's go for it. We got Tom Brady. He's the freaking GOAT. Let's go out there 7 seconds, see what happens. What happens on that drive? Tom Brady throws a touchdown. And 7 seconds at the 40-yard line. And that was huge, right? He went for it. He thought about it. Drew up a great play. He had Scotty Miller over the top one-on-one coverage against King, I think. What's his name? What's his first name? Kevin King? Yeah.
Kevin King. He's a bum. He needs to get cut.
And they score a touchdown. Great coaching. Great play. Everything. And then if it doesn't work out, you don't really... What do you miss out on? maybe 3 points.
Yeah.
But so that was a great play. And then when you look at what LaFleur was doing, he wasn't calling a good game. Aaron Rodgers threw the ball 48 times. You have Aaron Jones, who's dominant. He only rushed the ball
He got
6
hurt,
times.
Though.
Did he get hurt? I'm sorry, I didn't know that. But even with Jamal Williams, only 7. AJ Dillon 3.
Yeah.
I understand losing. I didn't know that Aaron Jones got hurt. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, that was.
When did he get hurt?
When he fumbled the ball, and he got hit. He got hit in his chest,
he did.
He was out of the game.
But even before then, because that happened at third quarter, right?
I'm not sure to be honest.
Even before that, they weren't running the ball at all. And he did fumble twice, I think, that game too, right? But I think the fact that they couldn't get any type of run game going screwed them. Because had they had a run game established before, when they got to that their first and goal situation where they had kicked the field goal at the end of the game, if they would have ran it 2-3 times and made it a 4th and 1, I think they would have been much more comfortable going for it on that play instead of 4th and 8 at the 8-yard line. That it almost could have made up for the fact that LaFleur made a bad call. They would different position.
The no running game fucks them because they pressured Aaron Rodgers the whole time and they were not getting him any protection. He got sacked how many times did he get sacked that game? Yeah. He got sacked 5 times. That's not good. You have to give Aaron Rodgers that time. And they did not give it to him at all. He was pressured every possession he had. And it worked, I mean, they didn't win. So, you have to establish that run game to give the quarterback time. Yeah. And they just didn't give it to him. And they were not protecting him for the life of him.
Yeah. He was taking a lot of hits and getting hit hard. Nobody can cover Shaquille Barrett. Guy's a beast. Yeah, it's just the fact that, okay, you didn't establish the run. Stick to it, though. That's the part I didn't like. Just because it's not working doesn't mean you have to abandon it. When the passing game isn't working, do teams abandon the passing game? No, of course not. You have to stick with the run. It's important to the game. It's important to control the clock, limit the turnovers, limit the fumble. Well, they fumbled twice, but it just when the team knows you're passing, they're just going to send everybody at you. The edge rushers know what they're going to do. They're just going to go run straight at you. There's no play action. There's no nothing. And you're not going to give Aaron Rodgers a chance, So I think coaching was huge difference between the reason why Aaron Rodgers isn't going to his 2nd Super Bowl and the reason why Tom Brady's going to his 10th. That's what it's up to. Yeah. I thought both of them played great. I thought Aaron Rodgers played a little better than Tom Brady. Tom Brady threw a lot of picks. But it's just, and then I didn't like how Matt LaFleur. Mike is the brother.
McCarthy.
No. Mike LaFleur is the Jets offensive coordinator right now. So Matt LaFleur, I don't like how he handled it at all. The run game, not going for it. Some of the calls on offense, it was just confusing to me. So I feel bad for Aaron Rodgers. We both respect the guy a lot, right?
Oh yeah, if not the most talented quarterback in the league right now. There are definitely some quarterbacks that can, I mean, actually, there's probably only one that I can think of right now off the top of my head that can
go toe to toe,
challenge that. Yeah, but the biggest thing to me was them not giving him the 4th down. Yeah, that was a big thing for me. I don't understand it. Don't think I'm ever gonna understand it. Tom Brady, he's a savant at this game. He's really good. He's gonna run out that clock one way or another, and if he doesn't, he's not giving you time. Yeah, not a lot of time to do anything. Maybe a Hail Mary, and that's it.
It's not rocket science to know that in a big game like that, you don't want to give the ball to Tom Brady with the lead with 2 minutes to go. Yeah, it's just not gonna work. That's not a formula to win, and I think LaFleur really dropped the ball on that one.
Yep.
So that was fortunate for the Tampa Bay, and I thought Bruce Arians called a great game. Thought Brady played well. Thought Godwin, even though he had the drops, I thought he played well. He had some big catches. Fournette did pretty well when he got the opportunity. And I
Yeah.
think right now, I think there's a huge question on what Aaron Rodgers' future looks like in Green Bay.
He's been really mischievous.
Yeah, he's been very philosophical in his responses and saying, "Well, nobody knows the future," and that goes for me too, right? Like nobody knows what goes on in the future, and I'm no different. And he's going that route. But they draft the quarterback number 1 in the first round.
In the first round, yeah, that's terrible.
And you look at this team. This team could have used some reinforcements. They could have used another receiver. They could have used an offensive lineman. Their offensive lineman is pretty good, but they could have used someone in that sense. They could have used
Could have used the fucking cornerback to replace King.
Corner or safety or something. So they draft the quarterback the year when this is one of your final prime years, and they do that to you. And I don't know. I think. Call me crazy. I think Aaron Rodgers leaves. Yeah, actually, I think he'll end up leaving. I think they'll come to an agreement, like Matthew Stafford situation right now. They kind of both sides agree that he should play somewhere else. I think you might see that with Aaron Rodgers.
His contract's up.
I think it's 2 years.
In 2 years. Yeah. So if he doesn't get a we didn't talk about Matthew Stafford.
We can talk about that right after this one.
We'll talk about yeah. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers, amazing quarterback, should have got that opportunity. Tom Brady's going to his 10th Super Bowl, and let's go to our next game, the AFC Championship. The Chiefs smacked up the Bills 38-24. Last game I was talking about how Aaron Rodgers got no protection. Josh Allen got no protection. That man was getting abused. He was getting knocked down. Everything, 4 sacks. He got into that little tussle afterwards. I mean, one big thing that I feel like you need in football is, especially for the playoffs, you need a little bit of depth. You can't rely on wide receiver 1 and 2 to just win you the game because the defense is looking all at them the whole game. I mean, obviously not for the Chiefs because Tyreek Hill and Kelsey combined for 300 yards, or just about 300 yards, What was it? Kelsey had 118. Tyreek Hill, who had an amazing game, that 71-yard run, that was so hype, man. He's so fast, nobody could touch him. 172 yards. Patrick Mahomes had an amazing game. 29 for 38, 325 yards, 3 TDs. I mean, what more can you say about the Chiefs, man? They just haven't stopped looking good since last year.
Yeah. And this is kind of what we thought when last week we were talking about Mahomes plays or not.
Yeah.
And we said if he was playing and he was healthy, that they were going to win, no question.
Well, that's not what I said. But
you picked the Bills?
Yep.
You did pick the Bills.
I want to see Josh Allen go through that table, but my dreams are crushed by Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, but the Chiefs' offense is something that you can't even slow down.
Yeah.
It's not about stopping. It's about can you even slow these guys down a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
And Bills couldn't. The Bills' defense didn't play good, but their offense just couldn't keep up. Even if they did play a little better, the defense,
Yeah.
So it's just they need to get better for the Bills. They need to get better at the line. Got to give Josh Allen more time. They got to get more physical. They got to get more talented up there. And I think defense, they have good players. Not sure. I think they can use a real stud edge rusher to get to the quarterback more, to take pressure off those corners and those linebackers and safeties. But, I'll give credit all to the Chiefs and Andy Reid. These guys are great. Their offense is something special. I think it's every time I watch them, it's like something special. Something special is going to happen. This game happened to be Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, man. Oh my
Tyreek Hill.
What a game.
Watching Tyreek Hill play football is a joy. Because he is so freaking fast. He's just so fast. Nobody can catch up to him.
172 yards on 9 receptions.
Yeah,
that's all you need to say.
Yeah.
Amazing game.
It's just I really believed in the Bills this postseason and the Packers. I thought one of them would get to the Super Bowl, but fortunately they both are out. And I think it's fair to say that the two best teams in both conferences made the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yep.
I think Chiefs were the best team in the AFC. I thought the the Buccaneers were the best team in the NFC. It was only a matter of time before they started figuring things out.
Yep, and now we have a Patrick Mahomes Tom Brady Super Bowl, which is something everyone was excited for.
Yeah, it's literally the new generation. It's like Baby Yoda versus Yoda.
Yeah.
It's like the new gen versus the old gen.
And I'm very excited.
It's gonna be a great game.
It's gonna be a really well coached game. Two amazing quarterbacks, amazing receiving cores, good defenses. Big thing, the left tackle for the Chiefs went down with an Achilles injury.
Yeah.
He's out, which really sucks, right before the season ends. I mean, right before, the Super Bowl. I know he's probably devastated. He wants to be there so bad to help his team out.
Yeah. And you know who the backup is, right?
No, who's the backup?
I think it's Mike Remmers.
Uh-huh.
If you remember, he played right tackle for us last year.
Oh, okay.
Remember him?
Yeah.
He played well in the first half, but then I think he got injured, and then he kind of sucked in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually, I just thought that was a tidbit to add.
It always comes back to us. But yeah, that's it for the championship games. Always love the championship games. Always about football, and this was good football. We had some really good games, really good offenses. Everybody showed out.
Yeah, and this was posted 3 hours ago that they actually ruled out Eric Fisher, the left tackle. He's a torn Achilles.
Yep.
Torn Achilles. Yeah,
Yep.
so he's out. So there's no question he's out. So it's gonna be tough. That's a slight edge for Tampa, and you can't give Tampa any kind of edge. It's gonna be interesting.
Yep. I think we should do our pick'ems next week.
Yeah, for sure. Let's just see how this week plays out. Maybe some injuries or something happens. So we'll do the pick'ems next week. Anything else to talk about?
Stafford?
Yes, Stafford.
What's happening with Stafford?
I don't know. I mean, it sounds like they're parting ways.
Yeah, where's he going, though? I mean, we were all talking about Deshaun Watson, where he's going to go. Now we got to worry about Matthew Stafford. And thank God Matthew Stafford's getting the fuck out of Detroit. Oh, my God. They've been wasting him. Everyone thinks he's trash because he plays in the Lions. Matthew Stafford is an amazing quarterback. I love Matthew Stafford. But I don't know what it is about the Lions, man. You take these amazing players and just do nothing with them. Megatron, Barry Sanders, Matthew Stafford, nothing.
Yeah.
They had to make Megatron have to retire, but he didn't want to be there anymore. He had a lot of injuries, but
yeah, I feel bad for Stafford because the perception around the league is just that he's an average quarterback, or he's not even average, maybe below average.
I don't think it's right. I think it's more like on social media more than around the league. I think people know that he's a good quarterback.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like the fans, not players. I think the fans watching, I think they view him as it's just Matthew Stafford. He's just average.
Yeah,
you can't win a Super Bowl with him because he hasn't won it. But I think he's actually an above average quarterback. It's just a shame that he got drafted by the Lions, the most inept franchise in all sports. If they're not number one, they're top 3. Let's be honest. Probably Knicks, Lions, Pittsburgh Pirates or something, or Browns before recently.
Something like that.
So I really hope he ends up in a great situation and he kind of proves himself that, actually I am a good quarterback. I've just been dumpster fire around me for 11 years. So I think 49ers can make sense for him. I think they really want to upgrade over Garoppolo because Garoppolo isn't good. He's just a game manager, and he's not even a good game manager.
Mm-hmm.
No shots, fired, but I think Stafford can elevate that offense, and he can do a little bit more than Garoppolo.
Yeah, I agree.
Another place, maybe Texans, if they trade Watson.
Yeah.
Maybe they use some of that assets to get him, maybe?
How fucked up would it be if they trade Deshaun Watson to the Lions? That would be fucked up.
I don't even want to talk about it. Because I want to see him on the Jets.
Yeah.
I want to see him in New York. I love Deshaun Watson. Every Sunday, I want to turn on Channel 2 or 4 or 5, whatever, and watch him.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I hope he doesn't. I don't think that. Who else needs a quarter? There's a lot of. How about the Bears?
Not the Steelers, but maybe the Steelers. But
you think the Bears?
The Bears, he can go there too.
I think that could be a pretty good fit for him.
The Colts,
Colts, definitely. Jets, maybe. They probably not.
Maybe Washington. Maybe Alex Smith's winding down.
I can see him in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of teams that need a
The
quarterback.
Patriots need a quarterback.
I can see that.
Cam Newton's not
Cam
in.
Newton's gone. How about Denver? They don't like. I don't think they're sold. I don't think they're sold on Drew Lock. He's nothing crazy.
Yeah.
And how about this? You can't go into the offseason without talking about John Gruden and Derek Carr. It's like every year, it's like they're gonna trade him. They're gonna trade him, and they don't. Maybe this is the year they finally trade him.
Yeah, maybe.
Why not? Derek Carr had a pretty decent year.
Yeah.
But I think he stunts. I don't think Derek Carr is that good. I think he's just, he puts up good stats, but I don't think he's that good.
I mean, not for nothing, he had a better year than Stafford this year.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just not a big Carr guy.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, Matthew Stafford's dropping 4,000 yards pretty much every season with that offense. So I mean, could you imagine him in like a good offensive team?
Yeah, I would have liked to see him in the 49ers.
Yeah, that would be nice.
I think any quarterback that goes to the 49ers are in a great situation. Because they have offensive weapons like Kittle. Their run game is a beast. Offensive line's a beast, and they have a great defense. You don't have to do much.
Yeah, you just have to be able to throw the ball.
Yeah, and if you put a great quarterback in that situation or a good quarterback, they'll thrive.
I agree.
So that's probably the best situation. I don't know. Colts probably the second best in terms of winning now.
Yeah.
Bears.
Yeah.
The only problem with the Bears is the same division.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason why I don't think that'll happen. Are they going to trade Stafford and then verse him twice a year and lose him twice a year? I don't think they want to do that.
Yeah.
I think they'll try to send them off to the AFC somewhere.
Probably.
So, I think that's it, right?
Yeah. Let me do my weekly 30 for 30 review.
Go for it.
I've been watching the OJ one, Made in America. 3 episodes in. It's fucking amazing. It's really, really well done. You should watch it. It's really good.
I am gonna watch it.
The shed a lot of light on like stuff that happens before. Like the first 2 episodes are nothing about like the killing, you know? The 3rd episode just started getting into the killing and the case and whatnot, and like the first season is all about him in the NFL and whatnot, and like what was going on in the world at that time and stuff like that. It's really good. I give it a 9 out of 10 so far.
That's a pretty good rating.
And make sure you guys tune in next week because we're having the A&J Football Awards show next week.
It's gonna be big.
Very, very big. The first annual A&J Awards, the most prestigious awards in sports history. So make sure you guys tune in for that.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much me and Javin are gonna go back on the season, look at some stats, look at some players, and we're each gonna come up with a handful of awards of our own. Gonna come up with a winner and a finalist and runner up or whatever, and we're gonna share those winners. And I think it's gonna be really good. I think you'll be surprised on the awards we give out. It's gonna be great. I think next week's episode I'm very looking forward to it.
Yeah, we might have some special guests. Who knows? You know, maybe some people are gonna come accept some awards from us. Who knows? Yep.
Ingram.
But yeah, that's it. That's the end of the podcast. A long one. This is our longest one yet. I thought last week was gonna be a long one.
Yeah.
This one's hitting like 1:40 almost.
Hopefully by the time we edit it and chop it up a little bit, it'll be a little less.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, you don't got to worry about it.
Oh, wow. All right, so we'll catch you guys. Talked about a lot. See you next week, next Monday.
Yep, see you guys.
Bye.